Here's your host, Lorette Brashear.
Welcome back. This is your host, Lorette Brashear, and I'm here with our next guest. I'm here talking with Jacque Gorman with People Who Care. Hi.
Hi, Lynette. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So, People Who Care, what is that?
Hey, we are a nonprofit organization that provides essential transportation to people in the area, in the community, who for medical reasons or difficulties with aging are unable to drive.
Gotcha.
Our volunteers will transport them to medical appointments, business appointments, grocery shopping. We also assist with grocery shopping. We will assist with paperwork if somebody has a visual impairment. And we do also friendly phone calls and visits.
Perfect. And you guys have 3 offices, is that correct?
We do. We have an office in Prescott, Prescott Valley, and Chino Valley.
Gotcha. So you guys are almost the Quad City.
That's right. And we actually do provide services to Dewey as well.
So you service everybody in the Quad City.
Right. And that would be out of the Prescott Valley office.
Fantastic. So I know that you wanted to talk a little bit. Any New Year's resolutions for you guys?
Well,
going on. Happy New Year.
Yeah, it's funny that you should say that. January is a time for New Year's resolutions.
Absolutely.
And most of us think about losing weight, exercising more, being on a budget, and I can attest, sign me up for all 3.
I am the exact same way. You know what? And already I blew it.
Well, you know, and the sad part is they have done studies that the average, I think, New Year's resolution maybe lasts a month, if that.
Oh, gotcha.
It's not encouraging. But I'm here to talk about what I heard this term actually a little while ago, and I thought it was great. It's a resolution revolution.
Oh.
And what I mean by that is it's a way to think of making a New Year's resolution with a different mindset. Now,
Gotcha.
I'm not talking about the negative revolution. I'm talking about the positive. A new way of thinking or
Gotcha.
perhaps looking at something.
So some way of actually following through and doing these things.
Right. And therein I want to talk about volunteering. Which is something you don't have to feel guilty about if for some reason you can't do it every day. It's not like
you know,
stepping on the scale.
Right, eating too much ice cream or any of those things.
Exactly.
So volunteering.
Sure. And there are many studies out there now that have talked about volunteerism as having so many physical, psychological, and social benefits.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to speak to some of the physical benefits. Studies have been done. I'm going to cite a few, not to bore anybody with statistics, but actually they're pretty impressive. So
statistics are great.
Just to give a little bit of a variety of the types of benefits. You know, we think of volunteerism as a non-monetary contribution to either a agency or some type of an individual, but there's profit to be had. It's not monetary, but believe there is profit to be had. So Carnegie Mellon study was published by the American Psychological Association, and they identified a link between volunteerism and a decreased risk of hypertension among adults 50 years and older. And they found in this study that older adults who had volunteered for a considerable period of time, I'm not talking about a one and done here, were less likely to develop hypertension than those who did not volunteer.
Interesting. So if you have high blood pressure, you know, here's something.
There you go. There was a review of research by the Corporation for National and Community Service, and they used the data from the U.S. Census Bureau and disease control, and they found that folks who suffer from chronic back pain actually saw improvement when they began to volunteer with others.
It's amazing what volunteering can do. It really does open your mind, your senses, and there's a lot of great benefits to it.
Exactly.
You feel better. You know, it's like if you feel better, you look better. You have that positive energy just radiating throughout you.
Definitely. And then the last one I'm going to mention in terms of the physical benefits of volunteering, a survey by the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society found that nearly a quarter of people who volunteer say the experience helped them to become more physically fit, and 75% agreed it was a good way to tone up.
Wow, sign me up.
Now, in reality, that's probably if you're, involved in a volunteer capacity where you might be doing more physical types of activities.
Anything's better than running.
There you go. I mean, if you're volunteering, most likely you're up and out of a chair, which is a good thing.
Absolutely, yes.
And then there's the psychological benefits of volunteering, which you alluded to just recently, that research has shown that volunteers volunteering leads to lower rates of depression, especially in folks that are 65 and over. And
right, because it keeps you busy, you have a chance to meet new people, you really have almost like a purpose, to kind of get up in the morning, and helping people really does something.
It sure does, and it gives you a way to make a connection with somebody else. And these days, we're all kind of stressed out. We're going in 99 different directions, and when you volunteer, you kind of leave. It gives you a chance to leave your own problems aside.
It completely does. I volunteer, and whenever I do, we fed some people for Christmas. And that alone, I mean, even though it was just for a few hours, really had an impact on me. I was happy. I left, really happy. I was in a great mood all day. And I felt like I did the community a service.
Exactly.
Even though it was just for a few hours, I really felt good about myself.
And I think that's one of the advantages of volunteerism, is some people, they can only volunteer for a few hours, maybe once a week or every other week. Other people can do it on a more regular basis. So it's kind of like what you can do to contribute. We all know our limitations, our scheduling, but there is something out there for everybody. And one of the things that was brought to my attention recently, and this is talking about isolation. Now, isolation is a big problem for a lot of our folks here, in the Quad City area. They moved here maybe with a spouse or family members, and over the years, somebody has departed or passed away. And, when you cannot you don't have the same mobility that you used to, and you're in your house, that isolation can really just bring you down physically, psychologically, and they found that isolation has the same impact on an individual as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Wow.
Now, that's something to think about.
Absolutely. I mean, that's crazy to even think something like that, but it is.
Exactly. So I think in general, there's a lot to be said for volunteering, your physical well-being, and the connections you're making with another individual are so valuable. It's a symbiotic thing. It goes both ways. And there's a couple of things, I think if you're interested in volunteering, to keep in mind, because you want it to be a good fit. You want it to be realistic for yourself. So you might want to take into consideration what interests you have or what talents you want to share.
That's what I was just going to say on the talents. For me, it's anything to do with marketing or public relations, and that's exactly what I did go for. I know that those are my areas that I can help in, and I have chosen to volunteer and help organizations with those skills.
Right. And then, what do you feel, age group? What age group do you feel comfortable with? Somebody might want to work with young children, somebody else teenagers, somebody more with an older population. Do you prefer working in groups, or do you like to do something one-to-one? And, we talked about it a little earlier. Do you like something that maybe is a little more office-oriented, or do you want to get out there and work up a sweat? and sling a hammer around.
And there's so many great organizations to volunteer at.
Right.
There is, I mean, we have hundreds here in the area, and they're all fantastic. You know, like you said, you guys do the elderly, and so, and there's people.
Well, actually, 18 and over.
18 and over. Thank you for correcting me on that. Absolutely. So anybody that has the passion for volunteering for people who care, that's something that, you know, if you have a few hours to drive somebody to the grocery store, or a few hours to take somebody to doctor's appointments, you guys are looking for those kind of volunteers.
Exactly. And I do want to mention that we have, if you know, this has kind of piqued your interest, we have one of our volunteer informational meetings coming up on January 16th at our Gurley Street office. I can give a number if I may, if somebody's interested.
Please do.
That number to call would be 928-445-2480. And if you'd like to find out a little bit more about what we do and the volunteer opportunities, we can be found at peoplewhocareaz.com. And I think, you know, again, what you mentioned is that look in the local paper too. Your faith group bulletin. You know, there's many organizations in this area that are, you know, asking for help and really appreciate their volunteers, whether it, as I said earlier, a couple of hours, or, you know, if you want to do something on a regular basis, you know, every week or every other week.
On your brochure that you also do friendly visits. It's not just when you go in and visit them, just say hi, how are you doing, what's going on.
I mean, as I said, you would be surprised how grateful somebody is just to have that connection with somebody when they have nobody else in the area. And it doesn't have, it's not rocket science. You might be talking about maybe they have a garden and you have a garden, or you both have a dog, and, you know, there's some interest in common, or you find out, you know, chatting what interest you have in common. A couple of minutes, you know, out of somebody's day.
And it doesn't have to be every week. It could just, you know, it could even, you know, once you establish maybe a phone call.
Start off with a phone call. And if you feel comfortable, it doesn't just have to be about the transportation.
It's just checking on them and making sure. And, you know, and a lot of people should have time for just a phone call, or you know, right now it is the season to kind of volunteer, you know, get out there in the community. And volunteering not only has all those benefits that we talked about, but it also has the benefits where, you know, if you're looking for a job, it looks great on a resume.
Exactly. It sure does. It sure does. And because, you know, a prospective employer wants to see somebody who's making good use, productive use of their time.
And they want to make sure that you're out in the community, that you're getting to know people, and that's a valuable asset in itself.
Exactly, definitely. So I think in closing, I want to quote that great man of wisdom, Dr. Seuss.
Dr.
Seuss.
One of my favorites.
He said, and I just think it really speaks to what we've been talking about this afternoon. To the world, you may only be one person, but to one person, you may be the world.
By Dr. Seuss.
By Dr. Seuss.
Wow, I love that quote. That's fantastic.
Well, thank you very much. And I appreciate the chance to talk about people who care, and just encourage folks to get out there and think about volunteering in the new year.
Right, like you said, it doesn't matter what organization you volunteer with. It's really finding out what you're good at, what you want to do, and finding something that's the perfect fit for you.
Exactly.
Because you don't want to get into an organization and find out, you know what, I really don't like it, you know, that kind of thing.
Right. It should be something that really, as you said, speaks to you and, you know, makes you feel like you're making that connection with other
you're
people.
making a difference. And that's exactly what's important for volunteering. And you're never too young to volunteer, or too old.
No, definitely not. We've had some volunteers that have been with us for over 20 years and are in their 80s. So it's a great thing. It's
a completely great time to start it. It's a new year. You know, we're all just kind of filling out our calendars, trying to figure out, like you said, what are we going to do? You know, are we going to the gym more? Are we going to eat less, you know, or eat, you know, whatever your New Year's resolution is. But this is a really great one because it's a resolution that's going to stick with you.
Exactly.
And it really has great benefits, like you said. And it's going to have positive benefits just on your life alone.
Definitely.
So I really encourage people to volunteer, and thank you for letting us know all that.
Thank you so much, and have a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We'll be back with our next guest on KQNA's Talk of the Town, Chino Valley.